So I'm just about to head off to China, and I finally got my Fi SIM. So I have heard that apparently you can just go straight to China with Google Fi and just get around the Great Firewall. So that's what I'm going to test here. I'm going to see what the speeds are like in China, see if I can access sites that you normally can't access on just regular Chinese internet. So let's go. I also just picked this up on the way because my computer ran out of storage, so it's a portable SSD. So, gonna use that. Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I finally got to Shenzhen. It's been like 19 hours or something. I'm very tired, but as you can see on my phone, I'm gonna throw a little pop-up up here. It just says welcome to China as soon as you walk into China. When we went over Russia, it said welcome to Russia. So even though I have my cellular data off, Google was still kind of able to triangulate where we were. It kind of welcomes you to every country that you pass through in airspace, so that's pretty cool. So far I've been able to use internet with no problems. You can access any website, even ones that are blocked by Chinese IPs like Facebook. So I'm gonna talk to Josh more about this in a bit when I see him tomorrow. So I will talk to you guys then. Oh, all right.
You found me.
I found Josh. Yeah. So yeah, we are gonna talk about Project Fi in China because we're in Shenzhen right now. We wanted to show you the backdrop, but it would blow out the camera. So
and we wanted to also film downstairs, but they kind of gave us a little bit of crap for it. But it's okay. We're in China, and I was in Shanghai, and I came down here to Shenzhen, where David is working on some Oppo content. So
yeah.
Obviously for us being here in China, we had to have some sort of SIM card. My original plan was to come here and get a card here that had the highest and the highest speeds and the most data. But I think it was you actually that said you were going to use Project Fi, and you got your card like literally a day or two before you got here.
Yeah, so Josh was spending some time in San Francisco with me, and I mentioned that I was getting my Fi SIM, and then we started talking about like, oh, does it get good speeds? And yeah, I mean, in China you get LTE. Like Google has some sort of weird relationship.
I did not believe that when you said it, because I used T-Mobile for the longest time, and even though it would work in other places, you have to pay for faster speeds.
Right.
So when you said that it would still use full speeds on there, I did some research. I ended up on like Reddit and a few places, and yeah, they corroborated what David said. So I'm not only using Fi, I'm using it on the phone that I actually covered in Shanghai, the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S.
Yeah.
And oh my god, it's
as long as you have a GSM phone, you can use it. So it's so useful because
it's so good.
Like we use Google Drive, we use all these Google services, and if you just use the internet at the hotel, then you can't access those. So either you need a VPN or you can tether from Project Fi. And since they have the bill protection now, and you get unlimited data over 6 gigs. I haven't really worried about any of that, so I've just been tethering from my phone like
is it
crazy.
6 or 7? I'm trying.
6.
Is it 6?
Yes.
Okay, so 6.
So the maximum you can pay every month is $80.
Okay, well, for context, like, I'm connected to it right now. I do have a little bit of a story about getting it to work with this phone, but you get the Project Fi app here, and Of course, it'll tell you how much you've used. Now,
Amateur. Those are amateur numbers.
I know. Well, no, it just
up.
raised. Okay, so I'm up to about 2 gigs for the amount of time that I've been here over the last couple of last number of days. But I've been using this card for the last like 2 weeks.
Rookie numbers.
Oh my goodness.
Rookie numbers.
8.7 there.
Rookie.
We're it went up. So you're up to 9
8.9.
gigabytes.
Because I was watching a lot of YouTube last night.
Oh, that's the thing. So obviously, you would want to sort of cater your usage to make sure you're not paying, let's say, up the wazoo of all this. But there is bill protection, and it's only $10 more than the unlimited plan I was already paying for on T-Mobile. But then again, it doesn't give you full speeds abroad. This does apparently, and in many places. And you know what? I'm very impressed. I would be very impressed if, because Fi is at full speed in China, that means it should be full speed everywhere, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
They just keep upping the number of countries that they're in.
I wish I've had that. I've come to China so many times at my time with Android Authority, and I wish I had this kind of connectivity here. Because since, as you said, Fi has some sort of deal with Chinese telecom.
Some sort of Chinese telecom, because Google wants to be able to say, well, you can go to any country and it works the same way in every country, and that's it. They don't want to be like, oh, but in China, you can't use any Google services, because that would be very bad for their branding.
Yeah.
So what I'm assuming, and I actually reached out to Google on this, I'm waiting for a response right now, but I'm assuming they have some sort of deal with a local telecom that like allows them to get over the Great Firewall. So you're pretty much able to just do whatever you would do anywhere.
Yeah, and just popping in the SIM, like, okay, so we're both using Pixels, but I'm using this right now. So I do have my Pixel, and using the eSIM on there, it's really easy. The Pixel is probably the most well-equipped phone for this kind of international data usage, because it already has all of the information that it needs, and it can pull it really easily. Yeah. And of course, you could use the eSIM, which is kind of nice.
Right, so if you don't know what an eSIM is, it's a newer thing that Google has in the Pixel 2s.
It's the only phone.
Yeah, the only phones that have them right now. But basically, it's Project Fi is like embedded in the phone.
Yes.
So like you don't have to get a SIM. I did, because we switch phones a lot, and I figured if I'm doing any Oppo content with an Oppo phone, I want to be able to just throw it in there.
Exactly. So that was exactly what happened. Like, you have to, I believe you have to register the SIM using
a Pixel or
and then you can
any Project Fi like registered device.
True.
So like there's the Moto X4. There's like a third. I can't remember the other phone.
Yeah, but I believe slightly older Nexus devices are okay.
Nexus devices work too. Yeah.
Or the most recent Nexus devices.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I got the SIM registered, it just popped it into here. And actually, okay, I had a little bit of trouble at first, because for whatever reason, it worked once I landed in Shanghai, but then over time it started to like lose connectivity, and then at some point it just stopped. Like, it only gave me the emergency calls only notification, or whatever you call that. And I did some research. I was getting really frustrated for about a day, because I was like, I brought Project Fi here to be able to do this. Then finally I realized, oh, maybe it doesn't have the information. I have to manually put the access point name. I don't know if maybe I'll put it in the description below or something like that. But if you are traveling abroad and you don't have the APN, you have to go into your settings to the mobile networks and do it all manually. So it's actually really easy. There's only a few like lines you have to change in the APN, and then you just put it in, and then it should work after that. Okay. Once I did that, finally it was okay. So it's not, your mileage might vary. There might be a little bit of a beginning learning curve, or you might have to put some settings in yourself. But once you have it ready, it's great.
So like it really depends on your usage, right? If you're in the US and you don't go to other countries very often, T-Mobile's unlimited plan might be better, because it's $10 cheaper, and then they throttle at 22 gigs, whereas it's unlimited, but it throttles to 128 kilobytes per second at 15 gigs of usage. Whereas
15's a lot, though.
15 is a lot. I mean, I am at 9 already, but that's because I've been, tethering to my computer and everything. But if you're in the US and you don't travel very often, T-Mobile's probably a better option. But like, just for us, because we just got back from MWC, we were all over Europe. I went to 4 places in Europe. Now we're in China. It's just like, to not have to think about it. And like I said before, like you fly into another country and it just says, welcome to this country. Like it's that easy, right?
If you keep domestic, and you just want to set it and forget it type of SIM card or phone service, then any of the unlimited plans back home would be great. But I would argue, and maybe this is something we can talk about in a future thing, and you can also let us know in the comments down below if you think this is a good idea. I'm actually planning now to cut my T-Mobile, because when I'm at home and I'm in Wi-Fi and stuff like that, maybe I should just cater my usage so that I can have the lowest possible bill.
Right. So you can't, like, if you know that you're not going to travel internationally that month and you're not going to use that much data, you can just, Fi actually actively tries to find Wi-Fi networks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's called Fi, right? Like, it's aggressively trying to find Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could have an incredibly cheap, if you use less than a gig, then your bill is going to be like $25.
$25 or $30 or something like that. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do, because as long as I'm making, it might be a little bit painstaking, but as long as I'm making the effort to download offline and to do all that stuff, then there you go. Or just be on Wi-Fi even.
Also, if you have a phone that has a lot of bands, like the Pixel, because the Pixel also works on Verizon and those kind of networks, you can turn roaming on, and roaming is actually free. So Fi will actively switch between whatever networks are the least congested at the time. So it uses T-Mobile as a baseline, but then it'll jump to Sprint. And if you turn on roaming, which you have to do in the settings, so not a lot of people know about it, but it's free, then it'll actually roam on Verizon if you don't have good T-Mobile service.
Oh, that's really cool.
Which is amazing because Verizon has great coverage and they're fast, right?
That's very true. So I think that's the main takeaway here is like we got Project Fi Sims to experiment with them in an international sense. Yeah. And China is one of the hardest places to actually access everything you want to do if you are from outside of China. And sure enough, bringing this here, it was like a plug and play situation, and it was all so easy, immediate access to all Google services and all that. So I guess the takeaway here, and you can let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll get into some conversations about you guys. What service do you use? And if you're a Project Fi member, what have your experiences been? I think the takeaway here is we use it abroad, and it makes us want to use it at home.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we're on Wi-Fi most of the time anyway at home, so it's,
Especially if you're in a work environment, you're on Wi-Fi anyway. And then, like I said, just download offline, and it'll cut a lot of the data that you might end up using on any given point anyway. So, I think that should pretty much do it. That's our reaction to Project Fi abroad, especially in the Chinese context.
Yeah, specifically in China. Yeah.
And it's great. If you're going to come to China, if you do a lot of business in China, Project Fi might be the best deal you can get.
You can pause your service too. So even if you just know you're going to come to China for like a little bit, you can activate a Project Fi sim, go to China with your temporary number or whatever, and then you can pause your service for up to 3 months, or you can just deactivate it and that number just disappears, but it's like whatever.
And then
you can just reactivate it at any time with a different number. So
the possibilities are kind of endless there. Yeah. So I mean, this might sound like a bit of an ad.
Hashtag not an ad.
So it's not an ad for Project Fi. Yeah. This is literally how we feel about this service that I honestly feel like I wish I had after coming to China, because I come to China at least 3-4 times a year for Android Authority, and I wish I had it every single one of those times. Yeah. So I mean, that's
like we said before. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and make sure you stay tuned for other stuff.
All right, so thank you so much for watching. We had our discussion about Project Fi, and also don't forget to watch the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S hands-on, as well as any content that David is doing currently right now here in China for Oppo and whatever devices they have available.
That's coming soon too.
There's also a couple of things that you can watch across our different networks, so make sure you follow all of those. Follow us on social media, and that should pretty much do it. So remember that Android Authority is, of course, your source for all things
Project Fi.
Every time with
Sorry.
Every time with you.